Adding time in NuLaw is a great way to track and bill for your time that you spent on a matter. There are multiple ways to track time in NuLaw. From the home screen, you can click the Add Time quick link. From the matter, you can click the Add Time quick link. And also on the matter, you can go to the Financial Billing Activities timetable and click the plus sign. All three of those will take you to the Add Time record. At this point, you can select your biller. You can use their default rate or override it, and then put in the amount of time that you want to track. Include the date and any UTBMS codes, and then put in an invoice description. If you have multiple time records to add, you can click Add Another, and that way when you save, the time record will be saved and the window will stay up so that you can add additional time records and modify the fields as needed. You'll now see that I have 2 time records listed in my table. Another way to add time is by using the Timers button at the bottom of the screen. Simply click New Timer, and since I'm already on the Target v. Miller matter, it will default to that. Put in my description and click the checkbox. This will start the timer. I can pause and restart the timer at any time. And I can click the green Stop Timer button when I'm ready to log this time. Notice it brings up the same Edit Time window, and I can modify this if I want to. Click Save, and you'll see that that time record has now been added to our timetable. If you have multiple time entries you'd like to enter at once, you can go to the Bulk Entry tab, Time, and then select your matter. Again, put in your biller, any codes, your amount of time, your rate, and your invoice description. Click Add to create another line. At this point, you can choose to select a different matter, or you can choose the same one. And if you have another time record that is the same for this particular matter, you can click the Clone button, and now all the same information will be cloned on another record. I can modify the fields that are necessary, and include my invoice description. If I don't want this time to be billed to the client at a specific rate, I can click this $0 rate. I'll show you what that does after we save it. Once we're done adding all of our time records, click Save. Our bulk entry time records are now stored under the timetable. To edit any of the time records in case you see an error, like this one, I meant to put a decimal on there to make it 0.5 and not 5 hours. I can simply click on the pencil right here to edit it, and that will bring us back up into the Edit Time record. I can now modify this to say 0.5 and save. Other things to note on the time record: if I want to track the time but I don't want to invoice this to a client, I can choose to unselect the invoiceable checkbox. That way I'm tracking the time on this case, but I'm not going to display it on the client's invoice. If I do want it on the client's invoice, but I want it at a $0 rate, I can select that here. That way it'll just show that I spent time on this case, but without an hourly rate attached to it. I can also use this modified time field to track the difference between what my estimated time was compared to what my actual time was. This is helpful to see how much extra time I spent on a particular task. The modified time, you'll notice, is what gets updated on the hours, and that's the amount of time that will show up on the invoice. As you can see, this timetable under the financial billing activities is a great way to store all of your time records. All are displayed here very easily to see, and you can edit or delete as needed. All of these time records are now available to be approved and put on an invoice. Please see the approval and invoicing videos on how to do that. You'll see there's a filter section on this timetable as well, where you can narrow down your search on a particular date range or on time records that are invoiceable or not. And then once they've been approved or invoiced, you can then display those here as well. Everything you need for your time records and all time records, no matter how you've created them, will all be displayed here in this table.